Meeting of the Valley Center City Council for May 4th, 2021 is now in order, in session. Roll call.
Mayor Cicerello.
Here.
Councilmember Stam.
Here.
Councilmember Evans. Councilmember Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Crickheader.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Fuller.
Here. Please rise and join me for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. God, thank you so much for today. Just for today. Thank you for being able to drive around and see the sun, and just grateful for days like today. Thank you so much for your provision, for how you continue to look out for us, God. I pray that you would give these leaders in this room wise counsel, provide them wise counsel, and continue to protect and do what's best for this city and this community, Lord. We trust you, we trust them, and we're so grateful. It's in your name we pray this evening. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 5, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, administration agenda, the city council meeting minutes from April 20th, 2021.
Move to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Item 7, presentation and proclamations. We'll start off with item A, Law Enforcement Memorial Week proclamation. Proclamation for Law Enforcement Memorial Day. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls is Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of Valley Center play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Valley Center, Kansas. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of the police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception of the weak, against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the police department of Valley Center has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency, which unceasingly provides a vital public service. Now, therefore, I, Lou Cicerello, Mayor, call upon all citizens of Valley Center and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 9th through May 15th, 2021 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an inviolable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Valley Center, Kansas to observe May 15th, 2021 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of these peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duty. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Valley Center to be affixed. I just want to say thank you, Chief, since you're the one here, but we know how well of a job your team does. On and off duty, as I have just recently found out, which I was going to bring up a little bit later during my time, but this might be a perfect point in time to do that. For those of you that may not know, Officer Easley or Sergeant Easley was off duty, and I'm not sure where he was traveling, but he was in Wichita and passed a vehicle that didn't, that what he saw inside didn't look right. He ended up being able to stop the vehicle and remove the person from the vehicle and held him at gunpoint till the Wichita police came, potentially saving a life of the young lady that was in the car with him. So yeah, I found that out today, and I was thoroughly impressed with that. So, all righty, moving on. We will move on to item B, Lexi Pool Connect Gold Award.
Never mind.
Thank you for the proclamation, Mayor, and the words about Sergeant Easley. I can't talk about it tonight because it's still an open case, so I appreciate that. And I'm glad that it took a little bit. I forgot this at my office, so thankfully Sergeant Kirk ran and got it for me. Lexipol is the company we use for our policies and procedures for the department. It's important we use them, I think, because, and we started using them because they have a whole team of attorneys and people that work on those year round on all the policies. They keep an eye out on case law. They know when statutes change, and they keep all of our policies up to date with the statutes, current case laws, things like that, best practices, which allows us then to make sure that our department's following proper procedures and policies. The award they started this last year. The reason we got the gold award is because when they push those out, the policies don't automatically update on their own. We have to go through, we have to update the books manually, and then we push them out to the officers. They go through and do that as well. And then they also, it's kind of a side bonus, that they offer daily training bulletins. And those are scenarios that the officers read through and then have to take a little quiz at the end. And those, they're recognized in the department with the gold award because we've stayed up to date on the policies, the current policies as far as pushing them out to the officers. And then we have a really good turnaround or use, I guess, of the daily training bulletins. Most of the officers go through every one of those, and they do it as soon as we push them out. So Lexipol, because we've done that and they've decided to start doing it, recognizing agencies that do that, they've awarded us this year with the gold award. So.
Wow. Thank you. All righty. Item C, we have a public library report from Janice Sharp.
Good evening. I don't know if I really have a report. I just wanted to really let you all know that we're increasing our hours again. We've had some controversy over that recently. And so as of this week, we're adding an additional 5 hours to our schedules. So our hours on Monday are 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday is 10 to 1 and then 2 to 6. Wednesday is the same, 10 to 1 and 2 to 6. Thursdays are noon to 3 and 4 to 7. Friday is 10 to 1 and 2 to 4. We use that hour that we're closed during the middle of the day to go in and sanitize and get everything cleaned and put away from the morning time. And we don't have any Saturday hours scheduled at this point. That'll be probably our next step when we have more circulation going through. So, and my report is in the agenda at the end. If anybody has questions, they can certainly let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on to item 8, which is the public forum. At this time, this is the time that we ask if there's anybody present that would like to speak to an item that is not on the agenda. And I see none. All right, we have no appointments. We have no committees and commission reports. So we'll move on to item 11, old business ordinance 1356-21 fireworks.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is ordinance 1356-21, which is an amendment to the fireworks ordinance. It's just added two words basically for the sale and then also for sold for the hours that are allowed for the selling of fireworks as well as the discharge. If you kind of look at the wording last year when we did pass this, or 2019, I can't remember. It just didn't have the sale and just discharge. It just said the discharge. Any questions? And reminder that the 4th is on a Sunday this year, and so July 5th will be in effect according to the ordinance. So members of the community as well as sellers will be able to sell and discharge on the 5th as well.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Your motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 1356-21 regarding the sale and discharging of fireworks within the city limits of Valley Center for first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Item A, request for farmers market vendor fee waiver. Just, okay, however, just state your name and address.
My name is Sharice Bonsmer.
And you can take the mask off while you're speaking. Thank you. We could throw him out.
My name is Sharice Bonsmer, and I'm here on behalf of the Kansas Flavor Farmers Market. We just recently started it. We are in the parking lot directly behind the building here, but we are looking to get a small to large group, 15 to 20 vendors a week to come in and sell different products. But I am working with the state through KDHE and the Department of Ag to make sure everybody's current on their licensing and everything. But we are looking to start the market and grow it. But the vendor fees, for the city vendor fees being outside for the people in the parking lot, are kind of detouring people from wanting to join the market, not knowing what they're going. Until we get more growth, I'm asking that those fees be waived. There's a $50 application fee and then a fee per day or 6 months or a year. The application fee is $50. The daily fee is $10. If they do 6 months, which would hit them all the way through the market, they're looking at being out $100 before they even start the market. But I'm trying to gain growth within LC.
Chamber of Commerce has said that we would kind of help out with this as well. We've had several members who benefited from this. I know Josh Malone wanted to be here tonight. Of course, you know, he's big produce. Steve Jacobs does microgreens. Offerings Pet Supply has been included. Ron spent so much more talked about coming over and doing the booth. But I know one of the things we've talked about in our strategic planning sessions recently, the downtown area. So this is what we're kind of hoping is we bring people. It's not exactly downtown, but the possibility that we could grow from there, maybe include the field, you know, where we have Fall Festival at. Just kind of, you know, add vendors and stuff. But I know the last 2 weeks have been positive for businesses downtown. You know, we've had added foot traffic at our Main Street coffee stuff well. Amadeus at Kaji Market has done exceptional. Tequilas has done well. So just trying to create a buzz downtown as much as we can. Again, trying to keep those costs down so it attracts more people. They might come in and give it a shot for a week. I know it's not for them, and then somebody else gets it. But that's our hope, especially in the next month as we get a lot more fruits and vegetables and things like that. That's what we're hoping for.
Questions from council? Councilmember Anderson.
What, I think this would be for Mr. Schreck, who is absent this evening. What type of manpower does it take for us to process those? I know that's what our processing fee is for. Is that anything that we would be out an exorbitant amount of time if we waived this for any period of time?
The application fee, I believe you guys do investigation and background check, but each week I have to send a list of vendors to the Kansas Department of Revenue and to KDHE and the Department of Ag if they're doing weights and measures, because they will come out and do inspections. So I feel like a lot of these vendors, some of them might not, if they're doing woodworking and whatnot, already have inspections, they already have fees, they have requirements. I have random inspections, I have annual inspections. We're all paying all of these inspectors on top of everything else. But I feel like we're putting an extra level on there of investigation and hourly time that might not be necessary, because in the last 2 years, KDHE has decided to monitor the farmers markets. And if you have a certain number of produce vendors or poultry vendors, anything like that, they will definitely be showing up and checking that. But I am also reporting to the Department of Revenue everybody's either retail ID number or their social. And that comes in bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks, you have to turn that in. So they're going to be double checking that sales are being turned in. Each of those forms that they're going to receive are going to have our jurisdiction code to make sure that they are paying their taxes in this area. That's if they're not already set up, but they will be told that they need to be making sure that they're filing for those dates in this jurisdiction. So that money and tax revenue is staying within our zip code.
Speak to on the background investigation part, that's in my department. We do the criminal background investigation. It's relatively quick. It probably wouldn't take that long, especially if it's the same ones coming in. The initial time to get the initial group will take a little bit of time, less than a day, of course. But then after that, as people come and go, if we just get them in, it's going to be a criminal investigation part or criminal background. That's the part of that we do. That's really, people are coming. That's an important part. It's an important step. In this case, people are going to them. The background stuff started mostly with the door-to-door solicitors. Important step in that because we want to know who's going door-to-door in our city, but it shouldn't take too long. So it should be minimal, the cost.
And also do want to clarify for the council, so the vendors, everyone will still have to apply for the permits and for licensing. So we'll still process it as if it's normally done. It just won't, what they're requesting is the fees to be waived. That actually is handled and processed here at City Hall with City Hall staff and not the community development side of things. And so that's typically what happens is they come into City Hall, they fill out an application form, that gets sent over to public safety for background checks and processed, and then sent back over for it to be issued from here at City Hall.
I would like to see us do something to spur the involvement with vendors early on. So maybe if we have a window of time where we waive the fees, whoever gets in, in the opening of this would benefit from that. Maybe that would drive some of the vendors to make a decision. So my personal opinion, I think I would like to see us waive it for maybe the month of May. And then after that, the fees kick in as far as the background checks.
One problem I do see with that is a lot of vendors are ready, products ready, summer schedule, say I don't know. Things like that, but a lot of these vendors aren't going to be here. Price, trying out, some of them I'm working with them. Having that window to the customer.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Couple of questions. Is this the first time anybody's tried to do farmers market in the city? 19? Okay.
Yeah, 2019, they did pop-up markets. I don't know exactly how long.
Well, what's a pop-up market versus a farmer's market?
Not really much of anything. Farmers markets, it used to be just nothing but produce. But now even if you go out to the 21st and Ridge Extension Center, they call it a farmer's market, but it's not just a farmer's market, as you know. I mean, it's Cincy, it's all of those things. And that's the kind of thing you try to avoid. You're hoping to do, especially next month when that stuff starts to kick in, your tomatoes and all of those things. You hoping to make it as much farmer's market as possible. And I think it's somewhere, do they waive fees on homegrown goods on some of that anyway? I think some of that, homegrown goods are waived anyway, things like that. But there's not really any difference between a pop-up market and a vendor's, vendor's market, pop-up market, farmer's market now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think name only for the most part.
Okay, then next question I had might be for Mr. Clark. What do others cities do for farmers markets in this case?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't reach out to any of them. Oh, I can let you know, council, that according to your ordinance that was passed in 2017, ordinance 1303-17, if you do look at 5.24.07, 0 here, license fee underneath of subsection C, it does state that no license fee shall be required of any person selling products of the farm or orchard actually produced by the seller. And also too, some of the other language in there underneath item 3 is any not-for-profit or charitable organization as determined by the governing body. And so that's why the applicant is before you with the Chamber of Commerce being the one requesting the partnership for those fees to be waived. Now, this one specifically states the license fee. And so that $50 for the 6-month period or the $10 each day or the $100 annually. But that doesn't state in there that the investigation fee of the $50, could be waived for those purposes. But that can be done, of course, by your approval. I'm not sure what other communities are doing, but it sounds like Ms. Sharice.
Yeah, those fees feel kind of steep for a true farmer's market. Vendors, like the people doing the Cincy, I don't see why we need to waive those fees. But the true farmer's market and the people that are making products at home, not just reselling somebody else's product. Okay, I appreciate that. And I would like to support this as much as we can. My opinion, we could waive it for the 2021 and then readdress it next year to see how well we can support this.
And we've said that once a week may be too much. It may go to every 2 weeks, but we'd like to at least give a shot and try to do it because, yeah.
Right. And you're just right behind here? Okay. We might advertise that.
At first weekend, we were allowed.
Okay.
Councilmember Stam.
Councilman Kerstetter said about everything I wanted to say. I say we waive it for the 2021 season, but I think we need to look at $50. I think that's a little steep, maybe 25. I know in Derby where I work, they only charge 25 for the farmer's market. So I think that would be something to look at later on.
Councilmember Colbert.
Councilman Sam just took my recommendation. I was going to recommend $25 for a short period of time and then maybe see what happens, how many would be willing to join. But I do have another question now. What is the chamber's thought of having the farmer's market permanent type thing set up, or is this, like you say, temporary?
I would like to have it as a permanent deal in the future. I mean, Sedgwick has had a farmer's market for years downtown, and if Sedgwick can support one, I would hope that Valley could long term. And we've got a lot of people that grow produce and things like that. And I think more are popping up all the time. And especially I think if Josh, like I said, I was wishing Josh Morello would have been here. He knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. But he could, I'm sure Ben probably knows more about farm stuff as well. But once this stuff starts to happen, and people see it, I think it'll grow. I would love to have it a yearly, May through, whatever season is, but I'm not real good at things like that. But
Okay, thank you.
Well, I had some questions, but as wonderful of a governing body I have, they have answered them all. So at that point, then we'll leave it up to council. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a recommendation that staff motion to approve the waiver of the vendor's fee for those participating in the Kansas Flavor Farmers Market at this time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, item B, 2020 financial audit presentation, the good stuff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have completed our 2020 audit of our financials, and we have Sean Gordon here from Gordon CPA to kind of go over the results. And for any questions.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Gordon, as Barry said. With Gordon CPA, we performed the 2020 audit of the city, so I'll go through that. Audit report that you've either seen in your agenda packet or have in front of you tonight. Starting with pages 1 and 2, this is called the Independent Auditor's Report. Here we discuss a couple things, including management's responsibilities for these financial statements and our responsibilities for these financial statements. And our biggest responsibility is to issue an opinion on the city's financial activity, financial statements for 2020. And if you flip to page 2, the first paragraph down, this is called the opinion paragraph. We issued the highest and cleanest opinion we're allowed to give under state guidelines. So that reflects very well on the financial management of the city for the 2020 calendar year. Flipping forward to page 3, this is called the summary statement of receipts, expenditures, and unencumbered ending cash. Here presented is all the funds of the city in the left-hand column, and then you'll see beginning cash, receipts, expenditures, and then ending cash as well. The very bottom of that right-hand column is the total cash that the city reported as of 12/31/2020. The next section forward is pages 4 through 11. This is called the notes to the financial statements. There's quite a bit of information discussed here, including information on the city's accounting policies, long-term debt information, some capital asset items, and involvement in the Capers retirement program, among many items presented there. One thing I wanted to point out was the long-term debt note, which is on page 8. It talks about the Series 2020-2 refunding bonds that the city issued last year. And this issuance, because it was a refunding issuance, saved the city almost $900,000 in principal and interest payments. So again, reflects very well on how the finances of the city were managed during 2020. And then the final section is pages 12 through 37. And these are just more detailed breakouts of those funds that are presented on page 3. In most of these spots, you'll find a comparison to the prior year, which is 2019, and then also comparison to how that fund operated compared to the budget that was adopted for 2020 as well. And for the audit, we had no recommendations that we had this year, no recommendations for the audit this year. So again, that reflects very well on the management of the financial system, the internal control system, by everyone involved in the financial management process, including Barry and all of his staff. So that's all I had. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Questions for council? Councilmember Colbert?
Yeah, I got one. I went through this book, but I didn't understand one thing. Is your CARE money that we received for 2020, is that separated out from this report totally?
I believe it's commingled. Barry can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in the general fund, I believe, just kind of spread out among those departments. Is that correct?
So the CARES funding we received is all in the reimbursed expenses line in the general fund. But we do have separate documentation that was given to the auditors from all the closeout documentation between us and Sedgwick County back and forth. So we have it all detailed out.
Will this continue for this year also, up until June?
For the portion we received this year, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I would like to say the governing body that we ought to be pretty impressed with Mr. Smith and his work. I know from the time I spent on this council, I honestly can't even remember where we didn't go through an audit where we had at least one thing that they found wrong. And it's pretty impressive to get an audit done that the auditors come back and say, we tried, but we just couldn't find anything. So
and I will say this year, we tried to find something to put it in writing, and Barry and his staff took care of any of those concerns that we had. So
great. Let's see, do we have a motion to accept and file?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to accept and file the audit report of the 2020 finances. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All righty, item C. Pool use agreement with the Valley Center Rec Commission and the Valley Center Swim Club. Are these all in one item or is it two? It's one presentation, but is it one motion?
Yes, yeah, there's one agreement for the pool use between the Valley Center Rec Commission and the Valley Center Swim Club. And Blake Pennington with the Valley Center Rec Commission is here to discuss it with you.
And I thought he was just here to give us free stuff.
I'm here to do that too. So on the swim agreement, this year we just kind of went back and see what all the pools around us were doing for their swim clubs. We're right in the middle. I feel like we're fair on the hours that we allow them, and what they're paying is about what everyone else is doing. We checked about with 6 other pools in the local area. So, yeah.
Is there anything different than in the past in this outside of that? Okay, I think that's.
Just make sure we're still on pace and not one way or the other on our agreement. So.
Is there any questions? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve agreement for pool use between the City of Valley Center Recreation Commission, and the Valley Center Swim Club, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you, guys.
All right, item D, agreement with Sedgwick County to utilize Tyler Technologies Law Enforcement Records Management System.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're just asking that you approve this agreement and allow the mayor to sign on behalf of the city. This is our current records management system that we use for the police department is global, and that's kind of piggybacked with the highway patrol like we're asking to do here. Since we joined with them, I think everybody else has stopped using them. We're the only department that's still utilizing that system. So eventually it's going to go away. Hopefully not before this is online and ready to go. The sheriff went to the county commission and asked them to take care of any fees that would be involved for us to join. This is all the cities in Sedgwick County that they've invited. And so we're wanting to take advantage of that. There's no, just to join, there's no fees to us at all. The only fees that we could possibly incur later would be to move our information from the current records management system over to this new system. So, but at this time, there's absolutely none. It's kind of nice that they decided, they looked at 3 companies. They were gracious enough to invite us out, all the agencies out, to each of those presentations. And I'm happy they settled with Tyler, or they went to Tyler. That happens to be the same company that I'm sure you're all aware of. That's the same company that the city already uses. So all of our technology is going to be able to communicate where it needs to. Any questions?
Questions from council? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the agreement with Sedgwick County for Tyler Technologies Law Enforcement Records Management System and authorize the mayor to sign.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. All right, item E, approval of purchase of server for public safety.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here once again for number 2 of our 3 total host servers. This one is for public safety. They are currently on their second 1-year extension on their current host server. And with all the other IT upgrades we're doing around the city, it's definitely time to get this one upgraded as well. We recently approved the City Hall one, and now we're asking to go ahead and get this one approved and get it on the schedule to be implemented.
Council questions? Councilmember Kerstetter.
I read it earlier. I just can't find it now. Where's the money coming from?
So at the end of fiscal year 20, we added just over $31,000 to fund balance to the emergency equipment fund. So that'll more than cover the expense for this.
Okay, and this was 21,000.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Is there another server you're gonna ask for in a couple weeks?
Well, the next one's Public Works. That'll be next year.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
It's the newest one, so we've got another year to go.
All right,
Yep.
just had to ask.
We're getting there.
All right, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve purchase a server from Gilmore Solutions in the amount of $21,367.09 for the public safety building.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item F, ordinance 135, let's try that again. Ordinance 1355-21 rezoning. Dill Hill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you comes with a favorable recommendation to rezone the section of Dill Hill LLC for Dill Hill Estates. This section is currently zoned A1. As you see highlighted in blue, this parcel was separate than the one to the northwest, which was already zoned R1A. And so this one would be the the suburban residential district part of this subdivision. So we'll have two different residential zones, and both of them comply with our current standards of zoning. Supposed to be the first reading on this ordinance.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
The only question I have is because I don't remember it. Were they gonna put a entrance on Ford Street, or was that was the other one, right?
Yeah, there's no entrance on Ford. That's just the property line goes around where Evergy's substation is there. So it just kind of connects to Ford.
Okay.
There just isn't going to be an entrance there.
Okay, that's the part I forgot. Thanks.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1355-21, rezoning of land located just northeast of the lot currently addressed as 2216 East Ford Street, Valley Center, Kansas 67147, from A1 to RR1 for first reading.
Second.
I really don't miss reading those motions, guys. I'll tell you that. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item up is the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, let me get caught up here.
We're on TV.
All righty. Item 14, staff reports. Mr. Schreck is not here. Is there a report from you, Mr. Clark, for Mr. Schreck, or no?
No report from you, though.
Thank you. Mr. Owens.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to give a quick update on some of the things my staff has been working on. They've been working fast and furious, out mowing grass, keeping up with flower beds, seasonals or lack thereof lately. But the big thing is we've been hammering away on the pool. And just to kind of recap a little bit from last year, there was some concerns about, is it going to be a lot more noticeable on how much you're going to have to fix up and this, that, and the other. And we are going to be painting a little additional this year compared to what we normally do, maybe a third more. We're going to look at probably close to most of the bottom of the pool, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing really crazy extra, but it is going to be some extra. I mean, just from it sitting 2 years, there's additional paint that's popped up, and that's just kind of some normal wear and tear stuff. But we've been working on that for about the last two and a half weeks or so, off and on pretty hard. So paint's arrived. We're getting ready. We're getting geared up to start slapping paint down and stuff. So it's looking good, and we're going to have it ready for the season. So
don't go anywhere. Councilmember Kerstetter?
When are we scheduled to open the pool?
Be the Saturday of Memorial Weekend.
Sweet. Thanks.
That's the free day. So
Councilmember Wilson?
How's our chlorine stock?
We bought product last year before COVID hit, and we were, because we were planning on having pool open before all that happened, and we haven't had to buy any of that because we had residual from last year. So we should be in pretty good shape the majority of the season.
With the shortage that they're talking
It's a
about.
shortage. Right. I heard about that this morning too. So we should be in pretty good shape, knowing that we purchased enough for last year, for the season last year. So.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Eggleston, no, Chief Newman, sorry.
Make it quick, Mayor. I'm sure all of you read in the Ark Valley News last week that Safewise has come out with their list once again, and we moved up 2 spots to #1 as the safest city in Kansas. So other than that, my first quarter report's attached, so I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Nope, see none.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Eggleston.
Real brief. I want to call your attention. Staff's been out the last 2 days hanging the veterans banners. Have 7 new ones this year. We started with the new ones on the west on Park and Main and worked our way east. They're all on Main Street. It's a joint effort between the Daughters of the American Revolution and the city. They've changed the times. She's looking to have these displayed from May 1st through the end of July every year. So, and to call your attention, be sure to go out and check those out. This is a really cool deal. I think
Yeah, it is. I like it. That's really great. Thank you. Mr. Golka. Mr. Arbuckle. Thank you. Mr. Smith. And Mr. Clark.
Of course. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just a quick reminder, tomorrow evening from 6 to 8 is our strategic plan open house at the community building. There will be a short presentation at 6:15. It'll be very similar to what the council workshop was last meeting. So if you are able to attend, please come and join us. Otherwise, that is it. Thank you.
Don't walk away. I have a question for you. Actually, for you and probably Mr. Eggleston. I'm sure we've all read the articles now about our lovely purple streetlights as they seem to be becoming more and more purple more and more frequently, I've noticed. We pay for those. Do we not have any legal recourse for this in any way, shape, or form? Do you know? They realize they have a problem. And I know they're arguing over it with the manufacturer, but I guess what caught my eye was the one at 5th and Meridian went purple not too long ago. And I sat in a quick shop in the parking lot for a few minutes and said, this is really hard to see the intersection with the purple lights as opposed to the correct lights. I mean, is there something, can we send a nasty-gram to West or to Evergy? Is there anything besides going, I'm assuming we could at some point take them to court if they don't rectify this because we do pay for it, but I don't want to go that route.
Yeah, that'd be a great question for our city attorney. We have reached out to Evergy and our local representative, and they said that we are on the list to get those replaced along with everyone else that had those installed during that same period of time. Yes, they are arguing with the manufacturer under warranty issues and who's going to cover that cost. So unfortunately, right now, we're just in the long line, but they have been contacted. They know that we want them replaced, and they said, along with everybody else.
Councilmember Anderson.
Is there any chance we can score a deal on some defective purple lights to put on our water tower?
Yeah, that would look good. Yeah, maybe.
That is actually going to be in the bid packet to light the water tower purple. I don't know if those would work, but I'm sure that city engineer Josh Golka will be all over that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. That's all I had. Councilmember Stam.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Davis.
Nothing.
Councilmember Anderson.
I just wanted to thank our city crew that's hanging up the banners that hung up this. I think you're finished hanging them, but I have seen no less than 3 posts on Facebook of family members sharing those pictures and people that are actually traveling back to Valley to see those hung, and a couple of them that were going to come that hadn't seen them yet. I think they were pretty local, but they were, they didn't live in Valley. They were going to come up and see them. And I think it's a really neat joint effort. And I just wanted to thank city staff for that. That's it.
Councilmember Gregory.
Nothing additional. Thank you.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Good job to the police department for the public safety #1. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilson.
Good night. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Colbert.
Yeah, I've got 2 things. One, I'm glad somebody brought up about the purple lights, because on Southwind, the one in front of my house gives you an eerie feeling to walk out at night. That light goes totally purple.
It would be nice if it was Halloween. I mean, it would go with trick or treating.
Yeah, it would be perfect with trick or treating, but it's weird when you walk out, and you're trying to get to your car, and all of a sudden you look at the light and the light's just purple. So the other thing is that I was sent this package, and I'm going to leave it here for the city staff, on August 13th and the 15th of 2022, or in 20 and 22, 9 to 2 p.m. Sedgwick County is going to do their regular recycling events, and it's listed out in the package. You might want to get a copy of this, because I know you'll get some questions from the people there on that, and I'll leave that here. Other than that, that's all I have. If there's no further business, make a motion to the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Less